guys, it's Amy. Welcome back to Too Blessed. I know it has been a while since I made a video and I'm really sorry. Life has been crazy. So, this video is going to be a bit of an update. There have been some developments and excuse me, and there have been some changes in our lives. And so I wanted to sit down and hopefully share those with you pretty quickly. I'm waiting on someone to get to my house, so I need to try to get this done before they get here. So we'll see how quickly we can do this. First of all, home dialysis. So I shared several videos about how we were doing home dialysis, and I showed you my room where we were doing home dialysis and all of that. And we have recently decided that we will no longer be doing home dialysis. And I'm not sure how I want to say this. I feel relieved that we are not doing home dialysis anymore, but at the same time I do feel disappointed because everyone had been telling us how home dialysis would be so much better and I would feel so much better and have so much more energy and so much more flexibility for our lifestyle and things like that. And I will be honest, that is just not the experience that we had. I know a lot of people have done home dialysis, have absolutely loved it. Like in the support groups online and things like that, most people who talk about home dialysis will say they would never go back to the clinic. And I understand that, and I'm glad that it worked for them. It just did not work for us. So I thought I would just tell you a little bit about some of the struggles we were having, just so that you'll kind of understand our decision, I guess. So we started training for the home dialysis the day after Christmas. We were at one of the dialysis clinics for 2 weeks. Being trained, and then at the end of the 2 weeks they moved all of the equipment to our house, and then we continued the training, but it was in our house. And so the nurse would come to our house every day that we were doing treatment, and she would help us get started, help us run the treatment, help us with any issues that came up and things like that. So there were a lot of issues. And, the nurse that was training us, she even commented on that. She said, this is not normal. It's not normal that you would have so many problems. It just seemed like every single treatment there was a problem. And it seemed like almost every single one was a different problem. So it wasn't just that, oh, this is a problem and we need to figure out the solution to this problem. Because as soon as we would figure out the solution to that problem, the very next day we would have a different problem. And it just started to get very, very stressful. On top of home dialysis being pretty stressful anyway, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of responsibility. When you think about the fact that you're doing all of these medical things and you're doing them in your home, and at some point that nurse isn't going to be there. It ended up towards the end of doing home dialysis, she wasn't coming every time, and we were doing it on our own, and it was a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on us. The other big issue, well, actually, let me finish talking about that. So because we were having so many problems during the treatments, like we would get like an hour into the treatment and some kind of an alarm on the machine would go off and we would have to stop treatment. Well, that meant that I wasn't receiving my full treatments. Each treatment was supposed to be about 3 hours, and it seemed like we were averaging closer to maybe an hour if we were able to do any treatment at all. There were times that we couldn't even do any treatment. So I was not getting the treatment I was supposed to get, and as time went on, I could really feel how that was affecting me. It was very much affecting me physically. My fatigue was getting much, much worse. My sickness, my nausea, just all of those things were just getting so much worse. If I wasn't, it got to the point where if I wasn't spending time getting ready for dialysis or doing dialysis, I was pretty much sick in bed. And that that didn't seem like that was a good idea to me. Um, and I started to get scared that that was going to make my kidneys much worse, which I'm sure it would over time, obviously. So, um, and then what I was going to say is the other factor that played into it for us was the time. We were not fully aware of the amount of time that was going to be involved in doing dialysis at home. Um, Initially, we had been told that the treatments would be a couple of hours, a few days a week. And that's pretty vague. Now, to me, when someone says a couple, that means two. But we came to find out that they were indeed actually the treatments were 3 hours, and we were starting out at 4 days a week, and it possibly was going to increase to 5 days a week. And the treatment time is 3 hours, but then that doesn't include the time before treatment where you have to set up all of the equipment, set up all of the supplies, get all of those things ready. That takes about, towards the end, I was getting quicker at it, but it still took about 45 minutes to possibly an hour to just get everything set up. Then when my husband would get home from work, he would help me stick the needles because I wasn't able to do that myself. Some people can do it themselves, but because of my vision, I was not able to. So he would stick the needles in for me, and then we would try to start the treatment. And like I said, with having all of the problems and the issues, sometimes those 3 hour treatments, if we were able to get the whole thing in, would end up taking 6 or 7 hours. There were nights that we were still going until like 2 in the morning, and my husband has to get up and go to work at 5 or 5:30. So, you know, they tried to convince us that eventually those things were going to get better, but in the meantime, my husband was getting run down because he wasn't getting enough sleep. And in his job that he works in, safety is very important. They work in some dangerous areas like construction areas and things like that. They have to be alert. They have to be aware of what's going on around them, and he can't be tired and go to work. So those two factors were the big ones that made us decide that we needed to go back, that I needed to go back to the clinic for dialysis. And so what we did is a couple of weeks ago, I think it's been about almost 3 weeks now, we had talked to them about the concerns that we were having and things like that. And so they arranged for me to go to the dialysis clinic for a week for 3 treatments and just give us a break, give us a little bit of breathing room, and let us kind of step back and see how things were going. Now I know the funny thing is, I believe their intention was that by me going back to the clinic would convince us that we really wanted to do the home dialysis. In my mind, going to the clinic was really going to convince me that I wanted to go back to the clinic. And that is what happened. So I went on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that week to have treatments each of those days, 4-hour treatments, which is that's standard for when you go to the clinic. You go 3 days a week for about 4 hours. And during that week, I felt amazing. I was not as tired. I was not as sick. And it was so nice to just have all of that pressure off of us, off of me, to where I could go to the clinic. I walked in the door, sat in the chair, and they did everything. They had all the work done. They stuck the needles, they started the treatment, they monitored the treatment. I didn't have to do anything. And that was a big relief for me because I think the biggest thing is that the stress was really, really getting to me. It was really affecting me mentally and physically. It was taking a toll on me. So after that week, we were pretty much like 99% sure that we wanted to go back to the clinic for treatment. And in fact, then that next week we were supposed to start treating at home again. And the very first night we tried to start treating at home was nothing but problems again, and different problems than the problems we had had before. So that just really confirmed it to us. So they've been working to get me back in the clinic. I've been back in the clinic now. What is today? Today's Wednesday. I've been back in the clinic since Saturday. So I went Saturday, and then I actually went yesterday, which was Tuesday. So I was on a schedule of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But I needed to be on a schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I need to have transportation that can take me to dialysis when my husband has to work. He sometimes has to work weekends, and the transportation services that we use, they don't run on Saturdays. So I needed to get switched to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and we thought it was going to take a while, but they actually had an opening already. So I went yesterday, but now I'm going back again today, and then I'll go back again Friday, and then next week I'll be on my schedule where I go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're hoping that this is all going to work. I mean, our biggest hope is that I won't be on dialysis long term. I am planning to, hopefully, if everything works out, get a transplant from a family member. The one obstacle that's been holding us back all this time is my weight, because the dialysis, or the transplant center told me that I needed to be at a certain weight before they would approve me to have the surgery. But I'm literally only like maybe 10 pounds over where I need to be. And my kidney doctor thought that getting dialysis would remove some of the fluid. When you look at me, you can see that my face is puffy, my hands are puffy. I carry a lot of fluid, but I carry it in my upper body. And I feel like at the dialysis clinic, the nurses always want to look at your ankles. That's where they look to see if they think you're carrying extra fluid. And my ankles just don't swell, even though I know I'm carrying extra fluid in my body. In fact, it seems to, a lot of times it goes in my arms. It always goes in my face, like my eyes are puffy, my cheeks are puffy, everything's puffy. But because they look at my ankles and they say, oh, well, you're not carrying extra fluid, they're not trying to remove that extra fluid. And so it's been a little frustrating trying to get this all worked out. So even being in the clinic, there are still some frustrations, but in the long run, I think it's going to be better because I'm able to receive complete treatments when I'm in the clinic, and good treatments, running the treatments at the speeds that we're supposed to, removing the toxins that have built up. And, I've been dealing with this kidney disease for several years. It's been probably about 4 to 5 years. And so in my mind anyway, I don't know how scientific this is, but in my mind, I just think those toxins have been building up in my body for years, and they're not going to get them all out even just in a couple of months. I feel like it's going to take a good amount of time before they can really get those things cleaned out properly. So, like I said, I don't know how scientific that is. That's just my thinking. So, I think that's all I have to share right now. So I haven't been making many videos lately because, one, I've just been tired. I've been sick, and I've been busy. Doing the home dialysis has kept me very busy pretty much every day. So I'm looking forward to having some downtime, a little bit of time to hopefully kind of get back to this. As you can see, It's almost March and there are still Christmas items in my house. I'm very close. I have to get this piece down. I tried to climb up on the couch and get it down last night, and I was just, because I went to dialysis yesterday, I was just so weak and so tired, I just couldn't do it. So that is still there. I've got a couple of things on the wall over across the room, and then the Christmas tree is still here right behind the camera, but it is undecorated. So it's just the tree sitting there. But again, I've just been so weak and so tired. There's no way I'm going to be able to move that tree by myself. So that's going to have to wait probably until this weekend when I can get my husband to help. But I've got the ornaments down. I've got them packed away. So I'm making progress even though it's slow. So hopefully you will see this video pretty soon. I'm going to try to get this one uploaded. My uploading is super slow. So you'll probably see this hopefully on Thursday. And then I've got a couple of other videos that I want to share with you, showing some of the things I've been doing as I've been putting my house back into its normal everyday decor, but with a few extra touches of spring. So I'm excited to kind of share some of those with you guys, and hopefully just be able to get back at it and get back to life, life other than dialysis. So if you're new here, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. Like I said, hopefully there will be some more exciting videos coming up pretty soon. But thanks for watching this one, guys, and I will see you in the next video.